the governing party that South Africa should downgrade its embassy in Israel. Our approach is informed by our concern at the ongoing violation of the right of the Palestinian people to self-determination and the refusal of the government of Israel to enter into meaningful negotiations to find a just and peaceful resolution to this conflict. We are also concerned about the resurgence of confrontation and conflict in the region and about the grave humanitarian cost of further intransigence. Our approach is also informed by an appreciation of the constructive role that South Africa is being called upon to play in the quest for peace in the Middle East. We are clear in our support for the achievement of the Palestinian state, alongside the right of the State of Israel to exist in peace and security with its neighbors. In implementing this conference resolution, we are mindful of South Africa's responsibility to continue engaging with all parties to the conflict to see where we would be able to provide assistance. As such, the South African government remains seized with the modalities of the downgrading process of the South African Embassy in Israel, and we will communicate once Cabinet has fully finalized this matter. I thank you.
The Honorable Sheikh Imam.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Mr. President, it's 15 months since a resolution was taken, a unanimous resolution was taken for the immediate and unconditional downgrading. Now, in my understanding of the word immediate, it meant that it cannot take 15 months for you to implement. But the National Freedom Party assisted you. We even tabled a motion which has not come to this House up to this day. We've put billboards to remind you around the OR Tambo Airport. Even that has not happened. Can you take us in your conference, President, to tell us, are you under any pressure from the international community not to implement this one? And how soon can we have this implemented so that, remember, Mr. President, the sanctions and disinvestment is what brought us to where we are today. Thank you.
The Honorable the President.
Honorable Speaker, I can answer categorically that we are not under pressure from any government of whatever nature not to go ahead with this resolution. What we have been doing and what the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation has been doing is to look fully at the modalities, and there are quite a number of steps that we have already taken to put this to effect. And we are going to be able to downgrade that embassy. And we've communicated that very, very openly and clearly. And also to those who have raised concerns. There are quite a number of those who have come to raise concerns with us and decried the fact that we shouldn't do so. And we've said we are bound by this conference resolution, but on a more overall basis, we are concerned, as I said earlier, about the continued situation of the Palestinians in the Middle East. And therefore, we are moving ahead to implement that resolution. We have, at the same time, been called upon to participate in trying to broker, a process of getting peace to prevail in that part of the world. And there are a number of initiatives that are underway. So, but we are going to be downgrading. That is a decision that you must be rest assured will be taken.
Thank you. Honorable Groenewald.
Adjunct Speaker, Honorable President, you started by saying that you strongly support the self-determination of the Palestinians. Now, I understand that. Our own constitution provides in section 235 for self-determination. And I will engage the Honorable President after the 8th May elections on that issue. But now, my question, Honorable President, you want to play a role to ensure that we have peace. Do you also recognize the self-determination of Israel as a state? And if you do you support the two-state solution? And don't you think that by downgrading the embassy to a liaison office, that will be a signal, a very strong signal, that you are actually taking sides? En as u 'n rol vir vrede wil speel, dan moet u nie, dan moet u nie vrede, dan moet u nie kant kies nie. Ek dank u.
Meneer de president.
Baie dankie, meneer Deputy Speaker. Nee, ons neem nie 'n kant nie. Ons neem nie 'n kant, ons het dit duidelik gesê dat ons gaan die embassy downgrade. Maar ons sê ook that we are interested in seeing that there is peace in that part of the world, and we are willing and open to engage. And this we have also indicated to both sides. And we have said our position has always been known. It's always been known that our support for the cause of the Palestinians is a historical one, and the injustice that they are going through is something that we have to stand up against. But at the same time, we've said Israel also has the right to statehood. Israel has a right to sovereignty. Yes, they do. So we do then support a two-state approach, that they have a right to exist alongside a Palestinian state. The issue is that there must be a Palestinian state. Now, for as long as a Palestinian state is not in place, we will adopt the stance that we take. Thank you very much, Mr. Groenewald.
Thank you. Honorable Paulson, there's no need to scream and shout. Doesn't improve any argument. Honorable Maimane.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to say that it is my firm understanding that it is the resolution of this government to have a two-state solution in the Middle East.
Sure.
Now, I stand by it. I stand by the self-determination of both the Palestinians and the state of Israel. Now, Mr. President, that is predetermined by the fact that we deem people to have their own human rights protected. What I want to understand, Mr. President, is that whilst your unequivocal support for the people of Palestine, how are you going to ensure that the resolution for a two-state solution is implemented, and what role can South Africa play in that? Are we going to continue to fight for human rights of all people oppressed in the world, including also the people of Zimbabwe, who right now are battling underneath their government, and also the people of Venezuela, who are standing up for their rights? And the people of Tibet, how do we ensure that on one side, we stand for human rights of all citizens
Honorable
and ensure the resolution is put in place? Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Our position on fighting and standing on the side of people who are struggling for human rights is unquestionable. We have always stood on the right side of history, and we've always ensured that we support those who are struggling for human rights, and that is why the stance we've taken on the question of Palestine is what it is. The decision to downgrade the embassy in Israel is precisely informed precisely by the violation of the rights of Palestinians, and we are therefore putting pressure on Israel, but at the same time we are saying we are willing to play a role and engage and make sure that there is peace. And where we are able to, we will be able to engage with both sides, and both sides have actually been saying, you, South Africa, can play a role because you have a very strong human rights tradition, and you're also very strong in helping other countries find solutions. So our position is very clear on this, and that is the policy of our government, and that's how we're going to proceed. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, President. Honorable Mandela.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. Honorable President, given that the father of our nascent democracy and global icon, President Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, said that our freedom is yet incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinians. And given that Madiba said the Palestinian struggle is the greatest moral issue of our time, and also given that Nkosi Dalpunga said that as long as there is a single human being suffering anywhere in the world, our struggle is far from over. Today, millions of Palestinians are subjected to gross human rights violation, crimes against humanity, and what amounts to genocide and ethnic cleansing on a daily basis against defenseless women and children. What is our response, Honorable President, to those who make cheap electoral mileage out of the Palestinian struggle, especially with reference to the ANC 54th NGC, and calling for an immediate downgrade on our mission? Thank you.
Deputy Speaker, our position and the position that was taken, or rather the decision that was taken by the governing parties conference, the 54th conference, was precisely informed by what you are saying, Honorable Mandela, because it was when we looked at the situation of Palestinians, when we realized how their rights are being violated and how their sovereignty and the self-determination has been completely disregarded and denied, that the governing parties conference took the resolution to downgrade the embassy. And that's precisely how we are going to proceed forward. And this we have communicated very clearly. One of the honorable members was saying, we've now been 15 months after this decision was taken, and that is correct, but we are going to proceed to implement that decision. And as I was saying, we were going through the modalities. Minister of International Relations and Cooperation with her officials have been working feverishly to make sure that we do implement this decision. At the same time, we've been, yes, involved in a number of other engagements, but we are not going to turn back from implementing this decision, because it is a matter that we need to implement to put pressure on the government of Israel to realize that the issue of the Palestinians needs to be resolved. The Palestinians are continuing to live under completely unacceptable conditions, where a number of people continue getting killed, which you call ethnic cleansing, on an ongoing basis, which is totally unacceptable, and their rights for self-determination must now be recognized. And South Africa, therefore, will be making a clear indicative signal that this is unacceptable, and to that effect, we are going to downgrade that embassy. Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy President.